back to the channel. Today we're going to unravel some incredibly complex events in Genoa. Rumors are circulating around the Newman family, but what's the truth? In this video, I'll summarize the plot points that will be revealed in the next episode. Stay tuned to see what happens. Welcome back to our channel on this beautiful, bright day. We have some absolutely earth-shattering, behind-the-scenes news that is guaranteed to change the entire landscape of Genoa City forever. And we are diving deep into what this monumental shift means for the future of your favorite daytime drama. The CBS soap opera world has been rocked to its very core by the massive, game-changing announcement that head writer and executive producer Josh Griffith has officially departed from The Young and the Restless. While the network and official press releases are framing this exit as his own personal decision, the timing of this departure is highly suspicious and has sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. For months, the viewership ratings have been struggling to maintain their historical dominance, and the critical reception from the fiercely loyal fan base has reached an unprecedented boiling point. The behind-the-scenes machinations of daytime television are notoriously complex, and many industry insiders suspect that this departure was a mutual agreement designed to save the show from a catastrophic creative decline before the highly anticipated 54th season begins this October. Across social media platforms, message boards, and fan communities, the reaction to Josh Griffith leaving has been nothing short of a universal celebration. It is incredibly rare to see a fan base so united in their relief over a behind-the-scenes staffing change, but the exhaustion with the current creative direction had simply become too much to bear. Fans have been exceptionally vocal about their frustrations, pointing to a myriad of deeply unpopular narrative choices that have plagued Genoa City in recent years. The audience has been forced to endure uncomfortable and bizarre storylines with incestuous undertones, which many longtime viewers have called the most foolish and disrespectful plots in the history of the legendary drama. Furthermore, the relentless, exhausting character regression has alienated fans who have invested decades into these beloved figures. The perfect example of this creative stagnation is the endless, repetitive loop of Billy Abbott. Every single time Billy shows genuine signs of personal growth, maturity, and emotional stability, the writing regime would inevitably force him right back into his old, destructive habits, sabotaging his relationships and his career for the sake of cheap, momentary drama. Currently, Billy is obsessively trying to reclaim Chancellor Industries, destroying his engagement to a pregnant Sally Spectra in the process. Fans are entirely burnt out on this lack of authentic character development. Additionally, the overexposure of universally despised antagonists like Patty Williams and Matt Clark has drained the show of its nuanced storytelling. Patty's endless kidnappings and psychological manipulations of Jack Abbott, alongside Matt Clark's convoluted amnesia storyline and his torturous games with Nick Newman in Las Vegas, have turned a sophisticated family drama into a repetitive, exhausting thriller that disrespects the rich, grounded history of Genoa City. Now, as the network scrambles to find a visionary replacement to take the helm for the upcoming fall season, the fan base is making their demands crystal clear. The absolute last thing the audience wants is to see the network rely on the tired, predictable soap opera carousel of recycled writers. Names like Ron Carlivati have been floated in rumor mills, but fans are vehemently rejecting this idea. Carlivati, who was recently dismissed from Days of Our Lives, represents the exact type of exaggerated, campy storytelling that the Young and the Restless audience is desperate to escape. The viewers are begging for a complete creative overhaul, a fresh perspective that honors the legacy of the Abbott, Newman, and Winters families while pushing the narrative into a modern, emotionally resonant, and highly sophisticated direction. This desperate plea for innovation has led to a brilliant and exciting proposal from the fan community: the hiring of a younger, female head writer with extensive experience in mainstream network television rather than daytime soaps. A name that has been enthusiastically championed is Courtney Kang. At just over 30 years old, Kang boasts an incredibly impressive resume, having written and produced for massive critical and commercial hits like Fresh Off the Boat, How I Met Your Mother, and the Hawaii-based reboot of Doogie Howser with a female lead, Kang represents the exact type of fresh, vibrant, and emotionally intelligent voice that Genoa City desperately needs. She possesses a proven ability to balance sharp, character-driven comedy with devastating, profound emotional drama. Her background in serialized television means she understands how to build intricate, long-term story arcs without relying on the exhausted tropes of evil twins, endless kidnappings, and magical amnesia. If a brilliant, outside-the-box visionary like Courtney Kang were to take over the head writing duties for season 54, how would she go about fixing the fractured, chaotic canvas left behind by Josh Griffith? We predict that the ultimate way to revitalize the young and the restless is to introduce a massive, overarching secret conspiracy unfolding in the darkest shadows of Genoa City. Instead of disjointed, frustrating subplots, a visionary writer would weave all the current misery into one epic, cohesive psychological thriller. And at the very center of this masterfully plotted conspiracy, a seemingly trustworthy figure would be revealed as the ultimate, cold-blooded mastermind pulling every single string. Our prediction for this spectacular new storyline centers on the shocking revelation that a highly respected, universally trusted character is actually the architect of all the recent devastation. We predict that the new writing regime will expose none other than the brilliant and seemingly compassionate doctor, Stephanie Simmons, as the shadow mastermind. Stephanie recently returned to town under the noble guise of helping her former lover, Malcolm Winters, through his battle with aplastic anemia and to reconnect with her son, Holden Novak. She has presented herself as a dedicated medical professional and a loving, if flawed, mother. However, a fresh narrative direction would reveal that her pristine facade is masking a deep, venomous, and decades-long vendetta against both the powerful Newman and Winters empires. The brilliant new storyline would begin with a series of highly suspicious, easily overlooked signs that slowly build a terrifying picture of deception. The audience, along with a select few characters, would start to notice chilling inconsistencies in the timeline of recent tragedies. For instance, the sudden, aggressive acceleration of Nikki Newman's neurological symptoms, which led to her tragic blindness and emergency brain surgery, would be flagged as medically anomalous. A visionary writer would plant clues suggesting that Nikki's condition was not a natural progression of her multiple sclerosis, but rather the result of slow, untraceable chemical manipulation administered during her routine hospital visits, orchestrated entirely by Stephanie to mentally break Victor Newman. Furthermore, the suspicious signs would extend to the corporate sabotage crippling the city. Kane Ashby's sudden, shocking arrest by Christine Blair Romalotti for corporate espionage based on AI-generated evidence provided by Victor happened at the exact, devastating moment he was scheduled to travel to New York to donate life-saving bone marrow to Malcolm. A brilliant conspiracy storyline would reveal that Stephanie actually provided the initial AI technology to Victor through a network of shell companies, knowing his ruthless nature would lead him to use it against Kane. By orchestrating Kane's arrest, Stephanie intentionally delayed Malcolm's surgery, punishing the Winters family for past sins and pushing Lily Winters to the absolute brink of psychological collapse. These terrifying anomalies would inevitably spark a series of high-stakes, secret investigations. We predict that Lily Winters, driven by a desperate, frantic need to save her father's life and clear the name of the man she loves, will team up with an unlikely but formidable ally, Summer Newman. Summer, armed with her mother, Phyllis's ruthless cunning and her own corporate espionage skills, would recognize that her family is being played. Together, Lily and Summer would form a clandestine investigative team, operating entirely in the shadows to avoid alerting the mastermind. The new head writer would craft scenes of unbearable suspense as Lily and Summer break into the highly secure digital archives of Genoa City Memorial Hospital, bypassing firewalls to access Stephanie's restricted, encrypted files. The secret investigations would require Lily and Summer to physically tail Dr. Simmons through the dark, rain-slicked streets of the city, leading them to a clandestine midnight meeting in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. It is here that the true, horrifying depth of the betrayals would be exposed. The audience would watch in stunned silence as Lily and Summer peer through a broken window, only to witness the seemingly saintly Dr. Stephanie Simmons handing over a massive briefcase of untraceable cash to the psychotic Patty Williams. The conspiracy goes deeper than anyone could have ever imagined. Stephanie has been secretly funding Patty's reign of terror, providing her with the resources to manipulate Jack Abbott, isolate Diane Jenkins in the clutches of the sadistic doctor, Markham, and fracture the Abbott family from within. But the betrayals do not stop there. The investigative duo would uncover encrypted communications proving that Stephanie is also the silent benefactor behind Matt Clark's terrifying return. It would be revealed that Stephanie, utilizing her vast medical connections in the criminal underworld, supplied the specific tainted batch of fentanyl that Matt used to intentionally overdose Nick Newman. Stephanie's ultimate goal is the complete, systemic eradication of the founding families of Genoa City. She manipulated the truth about Holden's paternity, claiming he was Neil's son rather than Malcolm's, not out of historical shame, but as a calculated, cold-blooded move to insert a biological heir into the highest ranks of the Chancellor Winter's corporate structure, positioning her son to stage a hostile takeover from the inside. The serious consequences of this shadow conspiracy being revealed would be absolutely catastrophic, providing months of gripping, Emmy Award-winning television. If the truth comes to light, the entire social, medical, and corporate foundation of Genoa City will shatter into a million pieces. Holden Novak would face total psychological destruction upon realizing his entire existence, his identity, and his newfound family connections were forged as weapons by his own mother. The revelation would completely destroy his budding romance with Claire Newman, as he would be consumed by the toxic legacy of his parentage. Furthermore, the consequences for the victims of this conspiracy would be a matter of life and death. Malcolm Winter's life would hang by the thinnest of threads as the delay in his transplant, orchestrated by the woman he once loved, pushes his body past the point of no return. Nikki Newman would have to face the horrifying reality that her blindness was not an act of God, but an act of profound malice, forcing Victor into a state of apocalyptic, uncontrollable rage that could tear the city apart. The Abbott family, realizing that Diane's captivity and Jack's public humiliation were funded by a trusted insider, would have to overcome their deep fractures to survive the fallout. This is the exact caliber of sophisticated, layered, and deeply emotional storytelling that the fan base is desperately craving. A fresh, visionary writer like Courtney Kang would understand that the most devastating villains are not the cartoonish, mustache-twirling characters who kidnap people on yachts, but the quiet, trusted confidants who smile warmly at you in the hospital corridors while secretly plotting your absolute demise. By weaving the current disjointed messes of Matt Clark's amnesia, Patty's manipulations, and Victor's AI warfare into one grand, cohesive conspiracy, the new writing regime could instantly salvage the show's legacy. The audience deserves a narrative where clues are meticulously planted over months, where betrayals cut to the very bone because the characters involved are genuinely loved and trusted by the community. They want to see smart characters like Lily and Summer acting intelligently, piecing together a complex puzzle rather than falling victim to repetitive, lazy writing tropes. As the crucial October premiere of Season 54 rapidly approaches, the anticipation and hope within the community are palpable. The departure of Josh Griffith is not merely the end of a frustrating era. It is a glorious, wide-open door to a brilliant new beginning. The shadows of Genoa City are vast, deep, and waiting to be explored by a fresh mind ready to shock the world.